Palestinian mothers are the most child abusive in the world, justification follows. Excerpt from The Origin of War, in Child Abuse by Lloyd Demouse. Headline: The Origin of War in Child Abuse. In the course of researching my book The Emotional Life of Nations, I discovered that just before and during wars, the nation was regularly depicted as a dangerous woman. I collected thousands of magazine covers and political cartoons before wars, to see if there were any visual patterns that could predict the moods that led to war, and routinely found images of dangerous, bloodthirsty women. Even the most popular movies before wars featured dangerous women, from The Wizard of Oz with its killing witches, before World War II, to All About Eve, before the Korean War, Cleopatra before Vietnam, Fatal Attraction, and Thelma and Louise, before the Persian Gulf War, and Lara Croft and Kill Bill, at the start of the Iraqi War. War itself, when personified, was always shown as a killer woman, tempting young men with her attractiveness. I called the killer woman, a Marie Antoinette syndrome, after the group fantasy of the French, during the Revolution, that she was a ferocious panther who devoured the French, despite the fact that she was actually a rather sweet person. When the war starts, the terrors in the media, that dangerous women are abroad demanding blood, are projected into some enemy, who agrees to engage in mutual killing, and oddly enough, the enemy also assumes the killer woman imagery, as, for instance, in the Persian Gulf War when Saddam Hussein was depicted as a dangerous pregnant mother, with a nuclear bomb in her womb, or as the mother of a death baby. Magazine covers are depicted to back this up, in the link provided. The Psychohistory book continues here. Headline: Killer Mothers of Terrorists. Even if groups such as terrorists, who do not have motherlands to fuse with and die for, they still do have real mothers who play that role. Islamic terrorists today regularly report their mothers brought them up to be a suicide bomber, a martyr, even picking which son should die, and which must remain alive, to support her in her old age. 18. One mother of a Palestinian suicide bomber who had blown himself to bits, told the reporter, with resolutely cheerful countenance, "I was very happy when I heard, to be a martyr, that's something. Very few people can do it. I prayed to thank God, I know my son is close to me." 19, since he had been about to graduate from the university, that is, about to separate from his mother, to be independent, the mother felt she was about to lose him, and preferred that he be with her, in memory, and he himself felt, "If I blow myself up and become a martyr, I'll finally be loved by my mother." They consciously think suicide will finally give them love from Allah, but they unconsciously think it will give them love from Mother. 20. All the other killer motherland devices mentioned above for warriors, are paralleled in terrorists. Explosive devices to kill themselves and innocent civilians are called mothers of Satan. In Gaza, a mother of 3 Hamas suicide bombers videotaped their paths to suicide, saying she wished she had 100 sons to sacrifice, rather than 3, and was made famous as the mother of martyrs. 21. Mothers often dress their little children in pretend explosives to encourage their suicide. Terrorists often drag themselves after being shot, to their mothers, saying, "Oh my mother, I have been martyred, or you bore me to die." 22. Witnesses report that when at last her son is martyred, she is said to be overjoyed to hear the news and emits a zakrita, a high-pitched wailing sound made by women on happy occasions such as the entrance of a bride and groom at their wedding, sometimes even expressing the wish, that all her sons will thus be taken. 23. What kind of mothers are these? Palestinian women, who not only tell their children they should commit suicide for Allah, but let them watch daily TV messages in between cartoons that say they should kill themselves, and even give them suicide belts to march around to practice their suicides. Ref. 24. Like mothers everywhere, when they inflict abuse on their children, they are simply repeating abuse that was committed on them when they were little girls. That terrorist cultures treat females horribly is well known. When a girl baby is being born, Islamist cultures traditionally dig a hole next to the birthing bed, in case it is female and might be infanticide. A large majority of all girls in Islamist cultures are raped, and are even often blamed for their rape, since it is assumed that those who don't ask to be raped, will never be raped. 25. Most girls have their genitals painfully mutilated around 6 years of age by their mothers, who as they chop off their clitoris and labia joyfully chant, "Today I am the master, for I am a man. Look, I have the knife in my hand, your clitoris, I will cut it off and throw it away, for today I am a man." Rep 26. Genital mutilation is practiced by Islamist families from 40 countries. A recent survey of Egyptian girls and women, for instance, showed 97% of uneducated families, and 66% of educated families, still practiced female genital mutilation. 27. As girls grow up they are treated as polluted beings, veiled, and routinely beaten by their mothers and husbands. Rep 28. It is no wonder that Physicians for Human Rights found that 97% of women they surveyed in Islamic areas suffered from severe depression. Rep 29. Such lifelong painful physical and sexual abuse surely does not help a woman give love to her children. She passes on her beating, burning, cutting, kicking, and stabbing to the next generation. So dear reader, it's obvious this is an unacceptable culture to coexist inside Europe. And with 40 to 50% inbreeding cousin marriages over the last 1,400 years, putting Islamic nations at the bottom of the IQ heap, and top of the birth defects and mental illness heap, it's obvious too, that this culture has nothing to offer, can't be reformed, and is so toxic, it's best kept in isolation, in its own countries of origin, and be allowed to advance no further into Western civilization. In fact, where it has already arrived, it should be removed by force if necessary. European penal colonies may need to be created on islands. Regarding the Islamic treatment of women, here is how their social system endlessly perpetuates its horrors, by destroying motherhood. Don't you forget this, dear reader. Such lifelong painful physical and sexual abuse surely does not help a woman give love to her children. She passes on her beating, burning, cutting, kicking, and stabbing to the next generation. A good read is The Origin of War in Child Abuse by Lloyd Demouse. Link below.